It's April 12th and it's the start of our bear hunting season. Drew and I are back in the area that we started setting up last year, and we didn't give it the attention it needed last year, but this year we're committed for a couple different reasons. So we're gonna go set up the same bait sites that we got to last year. We're gonna set up a couple new ones. We're gonna put out some meat, we're gonna put out some scent, we're gonna put out some cameras, and hopefully the bears will awaken and come in to what we have laid out for them. So the first bait is set up, and basically what we're doing is we know when the bears awaken, they're going to be slow, they're going to be groggy, so we're trying to get scent in the area, putting some grease out, making the barrel easily accessible, hanging some things on the trees, spraying the vanilla on the trees, and hopefully it gets the bears coming in early and keeps them here regularly as we continue to hunt throughout the next month and a half. Our second spot that we're filling up today is just a test site not too far away from our first bait site. So before we set up anything crazy, all we're doing is putting a bucket of bait, some scent out, and a trail camera to see if anything comes and hits this site. And as soon as we have bears coming in, we will then bring out a steel drum, set up a stand, and make sure that this area is going to produce before we put lots of effort into making it happen. And our third setup today is a spot that we had last year as well. So just behind us is a lake, an open area where the breeze can waft through and that smell can really float around. So a couple of little hills behind here as well. Had one bear on camera here last year and hoping for more this year. It's April 18th and it's a week after I've set out the first bait, so I'm all loaded up, ready to go. I'm going to check on the 3 sites that I set up last weekend, check those trail cameras, see if anything has been hit. I also have some beavers with me today to help get that scent up and going in the area so that when the bears awake, they start smelling it and start moving into the baits. From the looks of the first bait, it is untouched. Everything's still in place. Nothing pulled out of the drums. I did have a couple other things hanging on trees for scent, but doesn't look like anything has hit here, but we'll check the camera and see if anything has shown up. So I'm swapping out one of my regular trail cameras with my WiseEye Mini Cam, and this is a cellular camera that's going to give me live pictures and videos as something hits this bait. So over the next few weeks I can monitor this bait to see if anything has been hitting it, if it's time to refresh the bait, and if it's time to start hunting. So when I'm hanging up the beavers, I'm doing it for a couple reasons. One, first and foremost, to get the scent in the area and let it waft around and attract the bears in. Two, is I'm going to string a line up, and it's going to allow me to hang the beaver at whatever height I want. So that way, when a bear is on its hind legs reaching for the beaver, I'm able to judge how tall it is. So I know if my beaver is hanging at 6 feet and it's above the bear's head on its hind legs, I know it's going to be more than a 6-foot bear. The beaver's hung. It's a little bit lower than what I want. It's a heavy beaver and that line sagged quite a bit, but I got it over top of the drum. It's in the air. My camera can pick it up, and this bait is set, and I'll wait for the WiseEye camera to start sending me pictures. The test site from last weekend is set up. I have the beaver hung about 10 feet in the air. Got really high on this one. Splashed some grease, left out some smelly meat, hung a piece in the tree, and reset the trail camera. I'm exploring new land today, and normally I would keep all my baits about 3 kilometers apart. And the reason for that is if you have them closer than that, the bears are going to travel from the bait to the other bait to the same bait, and they're going to clean you all out, and it's only going to be the same bear. So in order to attract as many different bears as possible, try to keep your baits at least 3 kilometers apart from another. In the new area that I'm exploring today, I'm probably going to set up a couple test sites a little bit closer than those 3 kilometers. So if I can attract bears into one area, I can kind of pick which primary bait site I want to set up on and set up more of a permanent site once I have proof that bears are in the area and actually hitting that bait on a regular basis. So I'm doing another test site that's probably about 2 kilometers away from one of the other ones on the pond. So I have got some oil spread out. I've got some meat spread out. I've thrown a few things up in the trees just so that wind wafts that scent everywhere around the area. I'll set up a trail camera and I'll come back again next week to see if any bears have come into this spot. I just checked the trail camera card on the lakeside bait and we have a fisher on it. And I didn't have a fisher on this one last year. One of my other baits I had a fisher on, a really big one. This one here isn't as big as the other one, but at least I have an animal in the area, and it's always fun to see what's going to show up on the trail cameras to take the food I'm leaving for the bears. It's April 26th and it's my third week of setting up and running the baits out in my new area. So it's been a good week. It's been plus 17, it's plus 21 today. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning. There's only the odd skiff of snow from what I've seen in the odd ditch and shady spots on my way out here today. I'm sure there's a little bit more in the bush, but I'm hoping this warm weather has bears moving and awakening. And although I don't have anything showing on my cellular camera, I do have cameras on all of my other 3 sites out here. So I'm going to be topping up those baits, checking the trail cameras, and seeing which areas I should focus on when I start hunting this next week. So when I'm out here checking trail cameras, I bring obviously a healthy collection of empty SD cards and I can swap them out. But what I also do is use this handy SD card reader and I'm able to plug it into my phone and I'm able to view those pictures to see what has come in, and it gives me a chance to see if I need to relocate anything and give me the information I need to make a better decision. So as I'm scrolling through the pictures, I see something that has caught my eye, but upon further investigation, it looks like it's just a cow moose passing in the background. So this is the new test site that I just put up last week. Splashed some oil, left out some meat, put some pieces high in the air to get that scent wafting. There's a few pictures on this camera, but I'm assuming it's not going to be any bears either. So both of my test sites haven't produced. And I only have 2 other sites, and one of those has the cell camera on it, and I know that hasn't given me any pictures of bears, which means there's only going to be one other site that might have a bear on it. But based on what I've found so far, things are looking really slow. And I know that when you're setting up a new bear baiting spot and different sites, it takes a while for them to mature and get bears in the area and coming around and attracting them. So although I feel disappointed so far today, I don't want to give up hope. When I started it last year, 1 bear on each site, I'll take that as success. Hoping for a few more this year, but trying to remind myself that it's a marathon, not a sprint, when you're setting up new sites and trying to attract big bears in the area. May 3rd today, and it's my 4th weekend in a row of running the baits. And when I left here last week after baiting without anything hitting the baits, I was feeling a little bit discouraged. But man, 2 days after I had set the baits last weekend from my Wise Eye camera, a bear appeared on one of my baits, which was great to see and remotivating me. And he came back a couple times, and there was another smaller bear that came in, and then I think there's also a 3rd bear as well. So they've come in once in the afternoon, once late at night, once early in the morning outside of daylight hours. So what I'm using in my baits is attracting the bears to this area. And although I don't have any stands or anything set up at these baits, now that I have something regularly coming into this bait, it's going to allow me to put something up there a little bit more permanently and hunt there a little bit easier each and every time. But I'm going to go top up the baits today. I'm going to check out those other cameras. The pail on the ground, definitely a good sign. The only thing strong enough to rip that off is definitely a bear. Bait is gone. Beaver is gone. Camera is still here. It looks like it's been bumped a little bit. I'll check the card and see what's on it. So I have a bear, a good bear on this one, from what I can tell on the cards as I'm going through it here. He's climbed the tree to grab the beaver. He's pulled down the pail, and he showed up just 3 days after I had last set this bait. So I've had a chance to review a little bit more of the pictures on the card, and he was here just a couple days ago and in daylight, 12:43 in the afternoon from the pictures that I'm looking at right now. So it hasn't been a long time. I'm sure he'll be back. I'll fill up the pail as much as I can, and next weekend I'll have to make sure I bring a drum out and fill it up a little bit more so that this spot doesn't run dry. So from the trail in, it looks like this pail has been hit. It's not ripped off the tree, but it's definitely at an angle. Doesn't appear that there's any bait left in it. My camera's still there. So this feels like a good sign. This looks like 3 of 3 have been hit. And judging by how trampled the area is around the test site, and the big piece of fat that was in the tree and is now gone, there's been bears here. We'll find out for sure. I got through my card and I'm right. There are a couple bears here, and they came in 2 days after I last set this bait, and I don't have a beaver at this one. This one I've only put a little bit of oil and a little bit of bait here, and they've come back, and even though they emptied it out partway through this week, they've kept coming back to check it. And there's also one point in time where I have 2 bears on camera. It looks like they're fighting a little bit, and one of them has a white chevron on its chest. So this is definitely a spot I do not want to let run dry. Another week has passed, and I'm back out here in the bear woods. And last week when I was out here baiting, it was a good week because I checked my camera cards as well, and there was a lot of bears on 3 out of the 4 of the baits that I have running. And once I got home and I put those SD cards into my computer and looked at them a little bit more, man, there's a nice big bear that I would love to come across this coming season, and he showed up a couple times at the test site that I have running, which was just a pail and some meat in there and whatnot, and I do have a camera on there. I topped up that site last night, but today I'm back. I'm going to set up more of a permanent situation there, decide where I can put a blind or a tree stand, and get a couple of the sites rebaited and set up because the bears have been out and they've hit the baits hard. I do not want these baits to run dry. I want bears to keep coming back because it's almost time to hunt. And I got to make sure we have a healthy population of bears and different bears visiting all these sites. So the new bait barrel all filled up, almost right full. A little bit of strawberry jello powder on there as well to get some sweet smells in the air. I hung some meat and bones in the trees just to get that scent wafting through the air. And again, I am only about 40 yards from where that test pail site is, and on the trails to where the travel paths are that are coming to this site. So I'm sure we will get bears on camera here, and hopefully I'll be able to hunt them in the next couple days. This is the bait that I have my Wi-Fi cellular camera at, and this is also a bait that ran dry a few days ago. With this bait being the most bears on the bait that I have out this year, that drum empties out pretty quick, but my camera lets me know that even though the drum was empty, they were making their way back and checking it out. So there hasn't been any bears here in a couple days, but I've scented up the area, I've rebaited, and hopefully they're coming back into this area and they're not too far away. That's the hardest thing with baiting bears, is that once that bait goes dry, they're coming out of hibernation, they're hungry, they're not going to wait around, they're going to go find that food source. But if that food source, my bait, is here, they're going to keep coming back because they know it's there, and it's going to become very pattern-like, and this is where they're coming for food, and they know that's where they're going to get food. But letting baits run dry, definitely a struggle. Sunday, May 11th, and it's 4 o'clock, and I'm heading out for an evening late in the day bait and an evening sit. And sure enough, on the Wi-Eye app, my cell camera that's out there lets me know that I have a bear at one of my sites. So now I'm still about an hour away, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what I should do. Everything on camera up until this point, the bears weren't coming out till about 8 o'clock at night. And of course, the night that I'm going in to hunt, they're out earlier. So I do have 2 full drums of bait with me that I want to top up, because I want bait in the drums and I want enough feed there to keep them there until the long weekend, where I can put in a couple solid days of hunting. So the mind is running, and I will try to come up with a plan sometime between now and when I unload the quad. I'm at the pond crossing site, and this is the site of the bear I'm calling Mr. Big. And when I left here just Thursday, today is Sunday, so 4 days ago, I had this drum packed right full. I had bones, meat, scraps hung up everywhere along this trail that goes to where he comes in and out of. And that is cleaned right up. There's quite a few pictures on this card. I'm not going to go through them here. I'm going to go through them at home. I'm probably showing you a couple of them that I'm looking at on the computer right now. I will get the intel from those cards, and I will make a plan to come out here within the next week and really put a stalk and a hunt onto this big bear that I call Mr. Big. I'm back in to the first bait that I baited when I got here this evening, and with dumping the bait on the ground, the old stuff, the crows are in, they're making some noise, they're around. I'm 30 yards away from the drum, not really behind anything other than some shrubs and a few trees in the way, but I'll sit here for the next couple hours and hopefully I'll get my eyes on something. Whether I shoot or not, well, that's yet to be determined. I saw my first bear of the year, and he came from behind me. The barrel's actually over that way, and I could hear noise coming from back this way, and he got to about 30 yards over here behind me. I had my bow in my hand, but he's maybe 2 years old at the very most, and just really small and not quite what I'm looking for. I will take a medium-sized good bear. It doesn't have to be a giant, but it's got to be a little bit bigger than the one that just came by. May long weekend, and May 16th, Drew and I are out here setting up stands, baiting, and trying to get a hunt in tonight. It's a little bit late in the day, but we're going to hang some beavers, set up some stands, hunt today and tomorrow, possibly another day on the long weekend. We're going to check some cameras, and hopefully one of us, if not both of us, can harvest a nice black bear. We made it. We're in the stand. It's about 8:30, 8:45, so we have about an hour left. We're later than we want to be, but we're hoping with fresh bait and beavers that we'll have something come in tonight. It's Saturday, May 17th, and we were here last night, and we had a little bear come in, and we hung a beaver, and it's not there today. I've checked the trail camera card in depth of what's been here since Sunday last week, and there are 7 different bears here. One being a gorgeous big brown color phase bear, another big black one, a couple smaller bears, and that little one that was here last night. So the action is really hot. The bait is set, and I'm hoping we can get in to some bears tonight. I've worked hard for the last month and a half, and I'm hoping tonight all that hard work pays off. I think that's going to wrap up my season. I just had that one little bear that came in today, the same one that came in last night, and nothing else. So with a broken quad, no way to continue baiting, no way of getting a bear out should I harvest one. It feels like it's the right thing to do. I've put a lot of time and effort and hard work into baiting for the last 7 weeks. And although it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, I am happy with the effort I put in. I have a lot of different color bears. I have a lot of different sizes of bears on 3 different baits quite regularly. So definitely something that I will continue doing next year, put more effort, more time into it, and maybe next year I'll be able to connect on that one special bear. This spring bear season was a new beginning for me as I set forth to scout and set up a new area with baits and cameras and high hopes that I would be successful in harvesting a bear. It took a lot of time, a lot of work, some heavy lifting, and as I sit in the stand, I ask myself, was it all worth it? I know it's all about the journey and never about the end result, but sometimes I have to remind myself of that. I know all the effort was definitely worth it. This journey provided me isolation and time to self-reflect, the opportunity to strengthen and develop a deeper friendship, the enjoyment of everything the outdoors has to offer, and self-worth knowing I accomplished what I set out to do, even if that means not folding a tag on a spring bear.